Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. Welcome to Agba Kunitonile Odua. May elders never cease to exist in the land of Odua. In the presence of a Minister of Government of Trinidad and Tobago, Honorable Minister Miss Penelope Althea Beckles, I'm delighted to welcome those of you who are out there to join us for a part 3 of a journey with the goal to reconnect the Ife Oye people known as Yorubas. Ife Oye people known as Yorubas of Nigeria, with those who are in other parts of the world. It's a journey which started in 1989 when the immediate past Oni of Ife, Oni Shijuade Olubushe II of Ife, ventured to ignite this relationship in 1989. And over 30 years, or when it was about to be 30 years, I, Erilu Tunwashe, has continued the journey. And today I'm delighted that the journey is on track. It's a journey of discovery. It's a journey to celebrate the goodness of Olodumare to our ancestors. From the day Ife Oye came about, and Ife Oye has actually got as far as Trinidad, Tobago, Brazil, Haiti. I've left behind a few in the African continent. And so I mustn't forget the Bahamas as well. And so we, the people of Oye, a people predominantly spirits existing as human beings, that's who we are. Ife Oye people are spirits, and it is the spirit in us that drive us. And so at this point in time, I want to bring to our memory someone who was here on the journey barely a month ago, I would say, and who is now in the spirit world. I bring him to join us where he is. I shan't exclude him. I remember him, and I thank him very much for his contribution to one of the sessions that has led to this one, the part 3. At some point, someone will say a little bit about him. You can see life is so short, very short. For whatever we can do, I am not in a game of numbers. I am not interested in numbers. And also it's a delight today to be celebrating a singular journey I started in 2008 to achieve justice for my beloved Kabiyesi, whose remains was used for customary, fake, customary, considered to be the traditions of Yoruba people. And as the House of Assembly, the legislators of Ogun State continues to move on the draft bill, which has been waiting since then, I celebrate his contribution to this world as well. So life never ends for us, the people of Oyo. And having introduced the spirits that have joined us today, we have three here, of course. Three, one that just left Trinidad, one that visited Trinidad in 1989, and one who left, a paramount ruler who left this world in the year 2008. A very warm welcome to those of us who are still in physical existence. So let's go on and remind ourselves that this is part 3, and it's a gathering of spiritual beings having human experiences. The topic for today: Protestant Christianity, the Baptists, and Yoruba people of the Caribbean islands. It's a much cherished privilege to have an Archbishop of the African Church, and I want to emphasize that African Church, established by the Africans themselves. We'll hear a little bit about it. It's not the Methodist, it's the African Church, established by the African people themselves, established by the Ife Oye people known as Yoruba. But let me go straight on to my keynote guest speaker, somebody I have much cherished pleasure of having a conversation with, and my view of the journey I have found myself a driver of has been further illuminated. I warmly welcome him, but before I bring him in to address us, I will invite the Secretary General of a very important organization to briefly introduce himself, also to say little about the spirit that has joined us, who departed this physical. And straight after him, I'll bring in a keynote guest speaker. May I invite Baba Neil Ryan Rollins to welcome the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Again, a pleasant good night and good morning to Iairilulu. Once again, it's always a pleasure seeing you on these such important forums. Again, greetings on behalf of the elders of the Council of Orisha Elders and all our ancestors and Orisha that exist in this space. A pleasant good night, to the Honorable Minister, Penelope Beckles. I saw that today she was busy delivering hampers, and as I say, within this time, it is so excellent seeing the MPs on the ground, and, she's with the people. So I pray, and I ask our ancestors and the Orishas and the Spirit of God to continue to direct her journey. The journey has now again just begun.
Sure.
To all the Archbishop and all the persons who are online today, I'm seeing Grandad is Grand Abbess, Mother German from the Triunes, not Archabbess, sorry, my correction. Queen Mother, Abbess German Jordan, she has joined us. She is from the Triunes Spiritual Baptist Religion in Trinidad and Tobago, and she's also the treasurer of the Interreligious Organization of Trinidad and Tobago, and I want to especially welcome her to today's session. Shango Fumilayo, as always, to my sister Marsha And to all the other persons who are here, pleasant good night, pleasant good morning, wherever you are. Welcome. Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago again. You know, today, tonight, as Erilu indicated, is the third session of this discussion. And we are talking about our experiences, you know, and the experiences with the spiritual Baptists and the Orisha and the other religions. It's that shows that, you know, all religion is one. There's one God, one world, one sun, one moon, you know, oceans, one sea. And I pray that we share our experiences. We share that knowledge of what we learned in our journeys thus far. It is important that we connect at a spiritual level. And, you know, this is not science, or it is science, but at a spiritual nature. You know, as Erilu indicated, we have lost an icon in Trinidad and Tobago a few days ago with the passing of Brother Resistant. He was one of our Rapso patriot, a cultural icon. One of his greatest songs or song was "Ring the Bell." Ring the bell, ring the bell for freedom, ring the bell for prosperity, ring the bell for African people to rise again. You know, and over the years, in the Council of Orisha Elders on their family day, on the ancestral land in Lopino, that's it for those who are in Trinidad, he was one of those persons who would always be present and always give his support. So if every year he comes and he sings Ring the Bell, everybody is happy because it's bells that we ring to call the ancestors and to call our ancestors. So I know that, you know, it's a loss to the Orisha community, to his Rapso community. He was also the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Calypso Association, TUCO. I know it's a loss, a great loss to the country. And I pray that the ancestors receive him in their bosom, you know, and elevate him to that space. You know, his energies would always be present with us because of his contribution and his genuous way of doing things. His simplicity would always be remembered. So, you know, I pray that the ancestors, you know, keep him in their arms until, you know, he brings us message from afar on how to proceed as African people in this new dimension, in this new way of living that we're experiencing globally. So I welcome everyone again, and to you, Erilu, a hearty and warm wishes and welcome to you this evening. Ashe.
Thank you very much indeed, Baba. It's now time to bring in the keynote guest speaker for today is Pastor Elias Dick, a pastor and member of the Baptist Union, Trinidad and Tobago, a servant of the Most High God, and a messenger of the gospel of Jesus Christ. A very warm welcome to you, Pastor Dick. You have 20 minutes for your first slot, and no doubt I shall bring you back at some point during the session. Over to you.
Good evening to you, my dear sister Rilu, my dear brothers and sisters of the diaspora, the Honorable Minister and a loving Member of Parliament for Arima, and all our other guests who are probably now logging on at this time. Also, I see we have our Archbishop. I would like to give you a special welcome also. It is indeed a pleasure. It's a joy being with you for yet another time. And it has been a journey that I should say that only God knows. Because sometimes we say behind every cloud, there's a silver lining, or every silver lining, there's a cloud, there's something in the hands of God that God have for us. And I remember having a conversation with our dear Sister Ilu, and I told her that I'm a fighter. I'm a person who loves to see the poor, those persons that are in need. I do not like to see them trodden down and behind and left behind. And I mentioned that there are so many things that I have seen in my journey, and I've realized that God had his hands on me. He have his hands on me. And that the journey has now begun. Because it's not by might, not by power, but by the Spirit, said the Lord. And I want to just bring a passage of scripture that I always remember. And I remember searching the Bible, and it says, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. And I pondered on these words. And in studying, I always remember going through the Bible. And there are certain things that when you're younger, you just don't understand. So you have a tendency of skipping it, skipping the passages of scripture, skipping parts of the Bible that seems not to be relevant to us. And I want to bring to you 1 Chronicles chapter 4, verses 9 and 10. And it says to us, and Jabez was more honorable than his brethren, and his mother called his name Jabez, saying, because I buried him in sorrow. And it says, and Jabez called on God of Israel, saying, oh, that thou wouldest bless me indeed, and enlarge my coast, and thine hand might be with me, and that thou wouldest keep me from evil, that it may be not grieve me. And it says, God granted him that which he requested. The important thing in that passage of scripture is where it is. And as I said before, seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. That's a passage of scripture that is between the genealogies in the Bible. And that is one of the passages that part of the Bible in Chronicles that we would be skipping because sometimes we have problems with the pronunciation of the names. But when I looked at it, I pondered and I wondered where it was situated. It means that you must dig, you must seek out to find truth. The things that are hidden from us are coming to light, but we must first look for it. We must not just pass it over. And when we hear it, because there's a tendency that when we hear anything that is African, because of our upbringing, we have a tendency of leaving it because we believe what was tailor-made for us to accept as our belief. And once you say, I remember growing up, once you say obia, that's problems. But then I got to understand that it means medicine. And then I got to understand going different places when I was small, and where I was born in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. And I remember going to all those different places. And then I truly got to understand Why the word of God says, seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. But today I'm before you seeking and knowing that my brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers in the diaspora is strong. And I want to go back to the passage. It says his mother called him Jabez because she buried him in sorrow. So in other words, the name Jabez meant sorrow and pressure. And many times we are afraid to name our children African names, but we name them all kinds of different names. And when the children begin to behave the way, the names that we name them, then we want to know what is happening. It says his mother called him Jabez because she buried him in sorrow. But the important thing is, it says that he was honorable more than his brethren. I call on you, my brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, to be honorable above the world. Be honorable in your doings. Be honorable in everything that you set your hands out to do. And you wouldn't have to live by the names that were given to us, but by the names in which rightly we were sent with, that was taken away from us. But let us be inspired by those words of Jabez. It says he called on the name of God and he said, "Oh, thou wouldest bless me indeed and enlarge my coast." He didn't ask for anything for himself, but he asked for his coast to be enlarged, so his brothers and sisters can find a place of solace, rest, and a place of peace. And he said that thy hand might be with me. He asked for God's hands to be upon him, and the hands of his ancestors and his brothers and sisters to be on him that believe on the Most High God. And he asked that God would keep him from evil. Oh, we know it's so good. There's so many things that comes to us, and it brings to my mind that there's so many of us, our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, that don't know who they are, but they sing songs of messages that are derogatory to our brothers and sisters. And they are paid for such things. In some cases, they sell themselves for a few dollars more, not understanding what a great injustice they would have been doing. And most of the times, they don't work for themselves. They're working for the persons that wants to and always try to oppress and to keep us down. I say this, and the last part of that passage says, and God granted him that which he requested. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. God granted that which he requested because God knows our hearts, our minds, our soul. Because when he created us, he formed us with the dust of the ground. The dust of the ground is of a particular color. And he breathed into our nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. to serve, worship, and praise the eternal God, Yahweh, Yanoshinia, El Shaddai. We praise and worship him. I say thank you, my brothers and sisters, my mothers and fathers, for having me here this evening. It's a joy listening to you. My experiences of going around and making this journey was not an easy one. Because anytime you're filled with that Spirit of God, something comes in your way to try to interfere with you. But God knows, as the General Secretary said in his opening, the Africans will rise. They have risen and they are alive. Thank you. Shalom.
Thank you very much, Pastor Dick Elias. Before I bring in my next speaker, I just want to warmly welcome another of my guest speakers, Reverend Shenike Bami Mutanyo, again, a servant of God of the Anglican faith, but he's much more than that. It's a very warm welcome to you, Reverend Adelakun. In Nigeria, it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning there. Let's go straight on to my next speaker, and please join me all the way from Nigeria. Yes, if you've just joined me, those of you who have just logged in, a warm welcome to you. And those of you who are sending me messages already, yes, at some point, I will share your thoughts with those who are in the Zoom area, and I'm sure you will get some answers to the questions you are asking already. Powerful stuff. Now, let me go to my next guest speaker for today. Incidentally, somebody I met when I began a very difficult journey to enable the people of Remo in Ogun State of Nigeria to understand that certain action they took wasn't right. And incidentally, the same action considered to be traditional custom was about to be done to a gentleman who suffered for many years towards the latter part of his life, making a very important point. What many today will call basic human rights, saying, I have a right to decide how I should be buried, not by what the customs or traditions expect of me. If you are not getting any audio, it's your system, not here. So let me welcome Archbishop Augustine Afolabi Odufowa of the African Church. He's currently the Archbishop of the African Church Ibadan province in Oyo State. And his focus is going to be experiences of the African Church of Nigeria. Over to you, Archbishop.
Thank you, our mommy, and all the invited guests. You are welcome, the precious name of our Lord Jesus Christ. The World African Church came into existence in 1901. I will flash back the brief history because of our short time. You know, after the death of the first African bishop, Samuel Ajay Crowther, and our forefathers demanded for another African man to become the bishop. You know, before the death of Samuel Ajah Crowther, there were differences, disparities between the white and the black clergy, to the extent that Samuel Ajah Crowther could not control a junior priest because the man was a white man. Our forefathers, they were watching the differences and the way the Europeans are treating the black bishop, who happened to be the first black man to become bishop in African soil. History told us that Samuel Ajah Crowther had to resign because just imagine, as I am now, as an archbishop, and you ask a junior priest to query me because I am black and the junior priest is a white man. So Yoruba will say, àkókò ìjòyè ó sàn jù pé ẹnu mi ò ká ìlú lọ. It's better not to be a leader than to say that you cannot control your followership. The man, Samuel Ajah Crowther, had to resign honorably, and eventually the man died. The Africans were so annoyed. Why could such thing be among the clergy to clergy, the so-called men of God? And the first African church came out in 1899, just to show the protest. But our own church, the African church, came into existence in 1901, when people demanded for another African bishop. Instead of the missionary CMS 10 to send to consecrate another African man to become the second African bishop. So they brought Togwe, Bishop Togwe, who happened to be a white man. And the people rejected the man and demanded for African man to become their bishop. Now, they now send Bishop Johnson to England for consecration. After the huge amount, they thought the African could not be able to pay because they demanded 12,000 pounds. Before James Johnson, in Nigeria, in the Niger coast, which is Nigeria, they were able to raise almost 8,000. On getting to Gold Coast, Ghana, they raised $4,000 pounds there. On getting to London for consecration, it was consecrated half bishop, suffragan bishop. So the man came back. The man came back to bear fruit. And when the man came, people just with the joy, have bread is still better than none. They welcomed the man back as assistant bishop to Togwe, who happened to be a white man. But to their dismay, Togwe, having seen the popularity of James Johnson, he now translates James Johnson to Niger area of the north. Just imagine how the north was in 1901. Even as I'm talking today, if I got a letter of translation to north, I will still go and meet my boss. What did I do for you? Why are you translating me to the north? Not that the north is not good, but just to show the level. Now, the man, James Johnson, left in order to obey his master. On the day the man left, the missionaries, who happened to be dominated by the white, just locked his wife outside. That because your husband has been translated, you too, you don't have right to the mission house. the lady, as the story told us, the lady stayed outside. Eventually, the lady died. So when James Johnson came for his valedictory, those that were not pleased with the decision of Bishop Togwell, at that time, about 600 congregation left Breastfruit for Rose Cottage to start the African Church. The word African Church is not that we practice African tradition, but we said the African Church, a church founded by the Africans, nurtured by the Africans, and financed by the Africans. And thank God, the word that Togwell said on that day, that leave them, the way their ears are black, that was how their brains are black too. Our people were anointed with man, and a church till today, anybody from Protestant or in Anglican, Methodist, African, you know what we call a people's wedding. A people's wedding led the decision that enough is enough. Just imagine in 1901, 600 people to leave a church. How many people will be there? A letter, a book written by one of the Anglican venerable, I can't remember his name now, maybe before I round up, said there was head cake in the Church of England in Nigeria. So our fathers, they started their own church to worship God in their own understanding of God. African church today, we still practice theology with the Anglican because we left Anglican church, not on doctrinal differences, because it's just political. Our forefathers wanted their brothers to lead them, to tell them the word of God. Because at that time, if you cannot go to the church with a native dress, you have to put on tie in your father's land. You know how hot it is in Nigeria today, then and today. So our forefathers started wearing their native dress to the church, and the church started moving. They're going around all those who are rejected because they now brought in the African values to religion. For example, now, African man African man does not frown when you talk of polygamy, because they believe that it's better for you to marry one or your two wives, let everybody know, than having mistresses which people do not know. Marry your wife. That is why in our own constitution, we believe that monogamy is the mind of Christ, but we don't shun away polygamists, because the wife that you have married one way or the other, by the time you said you believe in restitution, you send the woman away and it's her children. What will happen to that family again? You destroy the whole family. But in our own church, if mistakenly you have more than one, we give you Holy Communion. It's only you have to take care of your wives and children. It's the issue of wife for the lay members, but for the clergy, it's a belief that a clergy must be a one wife, one husband. Another thing that make us different from other denominations, especially the foreign denominations, among it is bringing African values and cultures, like drumming drumming in the church. Before, even there are some churches today, even English, you speak their foreign language. You still speak their foreign language in Nigeria. The only thing you just say, amen. You don't even know what the man was saying. But in African, we communicate with African language. Another thing that makes us different, or a little bit, which other people are now coming to join us, is the issue of prayers. Because we believe that in African, there's a warfare. That it's not that only just Jesus Christ can do it. You have to pray hard. You have to pray hard. So we started the VG. We started the VG while others don't believe, but now that the condition in Africa, especially in Nigeria, if you don't pray overnight, if you don't pray day, afternoon, you cannot survive. So now our forefathers, they started building schools. Because then, if you are from a polygamous house, the church, then those who are the foreign churches, they will not admit you into schools because your father, your mother happen to be non-member of their churches. The African church established schools. All the polygamists that have been excommunicated, they brought them back to Christ. It is not you to judge, but only God who knows the heart of the people. We believe that it is not man to pass judgment to his fellow man, but God who sees the heart. And we believe in John 8:32. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. That is our keynote, our motto. You know the truth. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Being an African and worshiping in African church is just like putting a round peg in a round hole, because it is only Africans who can understand where the shoe pinches the Africans. Because you cannot tell me that in my father's land, I should dress like a foreigner in my father's land, which if I come to your own land, you will not allow me to dress in my own attire. So all these and other things make our people to form the church. And the church, by the grace of God, by October 13 this year, are going to clock 120 years in existence. And we have university, we have colleges of education, we have our own theological schools, we have various, several secondary schools. So African church has come to stay. And to buttress our point, Nigeria got independence in 1960, and the Thanksgiving, independent Thanksgiving, was conducted in one of the African churches in 1960, just to show that African church has gained ground in Nigeria. And by the grace of God, we have moved now to foreign country. We have, though it's still a pocket church in London, in America. We have a full diocese in Ghana and Benin. So we are moving towards outside, so that it will not be a Nigerian church. It should be African indeed. So we are moving outside the Nigeria to other parts of the country. And another thing I would like to know about as I said earlier, we did not leave Anglican Church on the doctrinal differences. The way we worship, our worship are so similar that hardly you can differentiate. But when it comes to administration, our own administration is democratic administration, government of the people, by the people and for the people. So we carry our lay members along in our administration. No bishop or a priest has monopoly of power. You have to consult your people because the church belongs to us, not certain people. So that is where we are different from some churches because we carry our lay members along. And in our setup, once you have a clergy who is chairman, a lay member must be the secretary. So that the two of you, not that you just go to the church because you are a laity, so you don't know anything about the administration of the church. Both of us will run the church together and nobody has monopoly of power.
Thank you.
You have to consult.
Thank you very much indeed, Archbishop Odufua, all the way from Nigeria. And it's is it dawn? It's not dawn, it's nighttime when you should be in bed. On that note, let me warmly welcome Reverend Adelakun Samuel Adeyemi, who incidentally I met when I went to Nigeria to hold a historic Olorisha Leaders Conference. And I put words around, I wanted organizations to nominate someone, and they nominated a reverend. I said to the person, a reverend, an Anglican reverend, to come to Orisha, you must be joking. But me, I love to have relationships. Relationship is what makes us who we are. So it turned out, and from then we've been nothing but close associates, listening and learning from each other. Let me warmly welcome him. He's a vicar of the Anglican Church. By the way, my grandmother was a CMS, and until my maternal grandmother, until she passed away. If you tell her, Mama, you're Anglican, she says, no, I'm a CMS. Reverend Adelakun is a farmer and consultant in agriculture. Is a director for the Center of Truth and Liberty. He is a former National Secretary General for Democratic Alternative Party, 2008 to 2010, a former students activist and parliamentary speaker, a vice president of 2 national associations of Nigerian students, and he's my guest speaker for tonight. Delighted to welcome you again when you should be in bed in Nigeria. Over to you. You have 15 minutes to share your experiences of the Anglican Church. Reverend, can you hear me, Reverend? Let me see, he was online.
Good morning.
Good morning, Reverend.
Okay.
You are on now.
Okay, good morning. Erelo, I want to thank you. I want to say good morning from Nigeria. And I want to really thank you and thank those who are participating with us this morning too. It is a pleasure to talk with you and to share views with you about the Yoruba culture and then the way the Anglican has perceived in the operations of the Yoruba people. And I want to thank the Archbishop too, whom we share the same view, right? I'm from Ijebu too, so it's awesome.
You're welcome, sir.
And also Great Oswald.
Great Oswald, great.
Okay. My comrade, we of the Anglican faction will continue to look at the Yoruba people as our people, and then we cannot throw them away. And like the simple language of evangelism, if you don't get there to meet them, you can't know them. So It's nothing so special that we met. It is just one of the beliefs I carried along in my own evangelism, that there's nowhere and nowhere you are not going to meet your people. Whatever you want me to say as an Anglican priest today, I came out of a family that are traditional believers. They are not pagans. Like the way they see them, they are not pagans. They are people like myself. They are people who I share daily eatings with, whom I live with, whom I intercultural marriages, everything happened with us. How will I throw myself or my people away just because of belief or faith? And even among my people, there are people called the Legungun, there are people called Oloro, there are people called Onishogo, meaning that we also have our denominatory positions and establishment among ourselves. If we live together as Legungun, Onishogo, whatever in your traditional color, and we're not having problem with each other, why should we come back with Christianity to separate us? If I'm convincing enough, religious should be by choice. I emphasize, should be by choice, not by force. Now, let me tell you my background. I'm a Marxian, and I don't carry anything less than that. And if you're saying that the dialectical aspect of discussion in Marxism will allow you to say superiority of argument will lead. If I'm convincing enough, I will carry every member of my family along. And if I'm not convincing, I must allow superior argument to go. Like the Archbishop approved it. How do you want me to name my child? Samuel. Just because my father named me Samuel. How do you want me to stay in a culture that is alien and foreign to me when I cannot speak my voice? So these are issues that we have experienced and we know we need to correct it. And there's no way you run away from issues. You stay in there and fight it to when you'll be able to get it right. And that is why we're staying with them. And it may be a militant position, but that is the way I was brought up. That is the way that I say I don't leave. I stay with them. And I am saying that those who stay, they are not less than the fighters. They are still fighting on. And I know we'll get there. By today, all we have now, we don't have foreign bishops. We're now having all blacks bishop in African continents. And we traveled even to other white colony and make black bishop. Oshibogun is an Ijebu man in Canada who is also representing Church of Nigeria. So that is to tell us we need this battle for ourselves. We need this battle for the black. I'm blackish. I'm not black in brain, and I'm equal to anybody. Because of color, you cannot throw me away. And that's 1B. Another area we're going to see is that white supremacy and the essence of Christianity in Africa is an issue we must talk. It is not spiritual. The purpose of Christianity in Africa is not spiritual. It is economical. It is for subjugation. It is for controlling people, and it is for dictates. This has been the issue that ruled the historical balance of Christianity. We must check that and bring it back to spirituality. And our spirituality is a being of the mind. Spirituality is a being of the mind. It's not by dictate, it's by acceptance. And so, in any form you're going to preach any gospel, it must be convincing. It's not by dictate because my mother is a Christian and my father must be a Christian. No, it must be by issue of belief, acceptance of that belief. And that is what the African church has put in place that we also appreciate, and we are also enjoying together with them. please, I have nothing to throw away when we discuss this issue of politics in Christianity. We discuss this issue of economy. We discuss this issue of social relation. Let me give you an instance where I will not agree with anybody. You are saying, my name is Samuel Adeyemi Adelakun. Yes, I grew up to say, and I have to introduce Adeyemi inside it because my document has to correct. But let me put it Samuel Adelakun. At a time, I'm a Christian. The other side I will see is that Muslim. The next thing I will see, pagan. Africans are not pagans. I want that to sound in our hearing. We are not pagan. And for the fact that the northern states have Sharia in Nigeria and the southern states have the common law, which they call Nigerian Constitution today, did not give room for the right of the African people to say, this is the way we have to be governed. This is the way we live together. This is our culture. Our culture is not polygamous. And African, you are often, the Anglican church you are preaching today was born out of the issue of polygamy nature of the king. The ego in us, you cannot kill it. And he has it. He married 2 wives. I read the mayor of Canterbury, you read the mother in the cathedral, get all the facts about it. So if you by origin call yourself an Anglican church, for example, and your origin is so dent with the issue of polygamy, where do you get it? These are issues that we must bring back to them, and we must put it to them that you cannot throw away what is innate in people. The Abrahamic nature is polygamous. The forefathers of the church are polygamous in nature. I am a monogamist by choice. It's by choice. So what we are preaching today in the church is that all that we have to do has to emanate by choice. That choice, it can be later refined to suit another thing, but a man must be established. If you throw me away because I'm polygamist, for example, and that means you are throwing a generation away because my descendants will go by the belief. And that is why we have Muslim population in Ijebu land than the Yoruba people, than the English, than the Christians. Why? They brought in the Christianity and they were emphasizing monogamy. And the Ijebu people said no. And before you know it, they traveled to bring in Christianity, Islam. That is another story for another day. Now let's go into economy. What they preach to us is love. But that love is not sin. You cannot talk about love where you oppress. You cannot talk about love where you subjugate. You cannot talk about love where there's no freedom. Christianity brought all this to Africans. Hatred among ourselves. And we're saying, if that is what we accept for you, we will get you tuned back to it. I will go back and give you what is right about it. Jesus Christ is not a white man. So I'm not being thrown away to say it's a religion of the white people. Christianity is not the religions of the white, it's our religion. And it's part of what we believe is going to be and will continue to be. History of, you can go back and get it right. Shekanta Dio is there to give us what civilization is and what era they all brought it. So what they came to do is even it's criminal to say somebody discovered Nigeria or somebody discovered anything. You are welcome to a land. You travel by sea. You are welcome to land. You are hospitable enough. They brought you in. I don't know where we have to get it right. So Christianity that was given to us has to be retuned, remodified, re-expressed, and thrown back to them, which we have started throwing back to them. And they are getting the population of the Black in Christianity in their diaspora. Now, let me thank our people who have come to enjoy this in the diaspora, the Caribbeans. I have to mention my relationship with you and establish the fact that this is a very good thing. One thing a Yoruba man will get, or the people in this world, is that they will continue to pass oral tradition to the people. And this oral tradition developed to Scottish tradition because you cannot become the Ogboni, for example, in the Yoruba land if you have not graduated within the Omoluabi culture and you have not been tested to have been this. All these things are established and we must continue to respect them. So whosoever is having religion there, according to Columbus and their slavery painting of Christianity, which is not really their intention, but to exploit people. I want us to manage that area properly. And we're going to relate together outside exploitation. We're going to relate with other outside subjugation. We're going to relate with each other inside of love. Because the essence of Christ that we share and we enjoy with you is love. Without love, there's nobody called Christ. Christ is the foundation of love. And he has spoken about it. How do you come about hatred? How do you come about subjugation? How do you come about disinterest in one another? How do you promote malice and magnanimity of all this kind? The magnitude of hatred and all these things are much. So, my brother, we are going to come back together and we're going to establish our own religion in our own context. Please, let us share love. And that is the essence of Christianity. I want to be challenged. I have these positions born out of innate revelation. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Reverend. And if you've just joined me, a very warm welcome to you. Today we are listening to the experiences of those who are descendants of Ife Oye. They are known as Yoruba people. We've received evidence from three people, an Anglican, the African church, and I would say Protestant Christian. Having listened to you, one thing that is needed is to now turn to the Orisha traditions of our ancestors. In order for you, the three speakers, to have a sound understanding of what our people of the Caribbean knows as Orisha tradition, I'm going to give Baba Neil, who is the Secretary General of the Council of Orisha Elders of Trinidad and Tobago, to tell you what they call the Orisha traditions. And I would like him to be focused just on what exactly are the Orisha traditions. And once you've heard from Baba Neil, I will invite the three of you to comment on how your church sees it, 3 minutes each. So Baba Neil, Orisha traditions, what exactly does it mean?
Yeah, take it. Thank you, Erilu. Orisha tradition in Trinidad and Tobago. Our tradition came into this part of the Caribbean or the diaspora through the slaves from Africa. It came through slavery, and it has extended over the years throughout certain Caribbean islands and even into some aspect of South America. But the Trinidad and Tobago story is one of a combination of slaves during a period of time when Trinidad and Tobago was governed by France, because it was under the French rule at a certain point in time. And also where we had, there were estates, sugarcane estates. And on those estates, there were African slaves. And that was continued after World War II in 1834, when we had the free slaves coming out of World War II who ended up in Trinidad and Tobago as free slaves. In those time, as we call them, our ancestors, they practiced what we know to what was known then as Yoruba or Yaraba. Yaraba, not Yoruba, Yaraba. And it would have been the tradition African religion where the Orishas as the divinities where homage were paid to the Orishas. And it was done in certain places. At that time, it used to be forested area. And in Trinidad and Tobago, our traditional Orisha way, as we call it, is where we have all the Orishas in one place. Our Orisha yard, Orisha shrines, we have all the Orisha from Ogun, Unile, Shakpana, Shango, etc., in one space. In a traditional Orisha yard, we have a building in the yard that is called a palais. That is where the drummings, etc., take place, and where we call with the drums. And there's also an area we call a chapelle, or the house of Shango, where there are some Orishas are placed in the external part of the compound, and there are some of the Orishas like Shango and Orunmila are placed on the inside of inside of Shango house, I would call it. So inside of Shango house, you will have Shango, you would have Yemunja, you would have Orunmila, you would have Osain to some aspect within that space with an altar that we use for Batala. And in most cases, on the outer premises, you have Eshu on the outside, Ogun, Shakpana, Ochosi, we have Gurum, Oshun, and normally Oshun is on a pond. We create a pond, a concrete pond with water that we fill for Oshun, and there's also one for Yemonja. And Irile, who sometimes use the pond depending on what happens during an ebo or a feast, as we call it in Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you.
And that is, yeah, that's enough, Erilu.
Thank you. That is it. Thank you. I just
Okay.
want to end
Yes.
a very warm welcome to Dr. Ayomide from the Republic of Benin. Doctor, thank you for joining us. You've heard what our people of the Caribbean call Orisha traditions. I'm going to give you five minutes each. What is your reaction? How does your church, the doctrine you preach, how does it disagree with? How does it complement with? And at the end of the day, do you genuinely believe that your continued upkeeping of the doctrine as you have it will enable the coming together of our people? So let me see, Bishop Odufuwa, you're still with us. You heard what we describe as Orisha traditions. What are the issues? Archbishop, are you with us? Please unmute yourself, Archbishop. Now, let me go straight on to Reverend Adelakun, because Archbishop is still probably experiencing problems with the network. Reverend Adelakun, what's your position of the Anglican Church?
Yeah, like, good day. Like what my brother have just spoken about, there's a very clear division about it. The issue is very clear. The slaves who are now free people, they are no longer slaves, decided to stay in tune with our tradition. I don't know whether I will call myself today a slave, because at the other side of it, I thought I was free. and I was being captured into foreign beliefs. I don't know who is a slave among us, but I know the definition will tell you that more slavery than free person. I saw freedom. I saw love. I saw within a particular shrine the existence of different beliefs, yet united. You cannot see the moment I say Methodist, an Anglican, an African, there is disparity, there is this division that is existing that you appreciate, you will not want to feel free. You know, there's no freedom where there's no freedom. You can't manage where there's no freedom. So I've told you we're still going to merge. We're going to come together and see it. We're one, and we're not going to throw the essence of being one from the beginning to the European doctrine. I want to know the meaning of Iyo, salt, in the naming of my child. I want to know the meaning of water in the naming of my child. There are issues that are to be reintroduced. We'll get there. We have come of age to define what we want, and we're going to stay by what we want, define our own God. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Let me go straight on to Pastor Dick Elias. Are you with us? You've heard what we call the old Orisha traditions. What is the position of the Protestant Christianity?
Yes, Irilu. In Trinidad and Tobago, the Baptist Church were formed after the soldiers that fought the war for England were called the London Baptists. The soldiers that fought the war for the United States were called Americans, and they are still and they were given land in the southern part of Trinidad to settle. The first company, second company, third company, fourth company, fifth company. So you'll have complete Baptist church in Trinidad. And the majority of the churches are in the south. Colleges and schools are in the southern area. The larger churches, a matter of fact, the cathedral would be St. John, which is in Port of Spain, and that would have been run by the whites until after laid down in the 19th century. Then the Africans, the Black Trinidadians, came and started to control it. But all the traditions were carried out by the Baptist Church. In Trinidad and Tobago, there are numerous Baptist churches with numerous beliefs. For example, I should bring to us the former late Prime Minister Patrick Mann and his wife, Sister Hazel Manning, is American. So she would have come out from that part of the Baptists. But traditionally, we practice our own. There's the London Baptist, the American Baptist, as I say, is the American. But because of congregational governance, everybody have its church, have its own autonomy, even though the head body for the Baptist Union, the Baptist Union of Trinidad and Tobago, which majority are Africans. Where there are the Indian churches, they somewhat separate themselves from the Baptist Union. And that is where the Southern Baptists and other Baptists that come from the United States, they usually will or have dialogue with them and of Trinidad and Tobago. But the Baptist Union.
Pastor, forgive my interruption. I want to hear clearly what is your position, the position of these churches, as far as the the traditions that Baba Neil has described. What is their position? Are they against it? Are they for it? Are they determined to change our people and tell them to move away from it?
Getting some interference on Mike. I didn't get you clearly, really.
Okay, let me repeat that. What is the position of these churches as far as the Orisha tradition that Baba Neil Rawlings described? Are they for it? Are they against it? What are they saying to our people about it?
The church, because of how the church's structure, they're neither against any. There's no position in terms of against any of the Orisha or the spiritual Baptist, any one of the Baptist movements. Because, as I said again, because of the practice of congregational governance, every church have its mandate to carry out its function, seems fit by its members and its pastor, the pastors that govern the organization. And let me give a for example, off of my last course with the Caribbean Baptist Union and the Northern University Baptist University. And I will try to see if I can get him to, that's Reverend Jackson. And we brought in our studies persons from the spiritual Baptist, because we realized that most of the traditions, things that we carry on, came out from the Orishas, came out from the Yoruba. It was actually a fusion that came with Christianity. But there's no block or stopping or interference by our body in terms of how individual, how a church is governed. That is clear.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm now going to go to the Zoom area. The purpose of this session is to come to an understanding. That understanding, one, are our people caught up in the churches, being given information that will not enable us to form one family. If there's anybody in the audience who wants to say anything, it's time for you to do so. You may raise up your hand if you want to.
I am getting a feedback, so I'm not getting everything clearly on my side.
Hold on a second. Let me check my system here. Right. Can you hear me now? Is it clear now? Can somebody answer?
Yes, Sir Lou, it's quite clear.
Right. Okay.
Yes, it's much clearer.
Now,
yeah.
I'm going to put my question direct. The purpose of this session is not to acquaint ourselves to the goodness or not otherwise of Protestant Christianity. It is to establish the position of these churches on who we are. We are Orisha people. So I did invite Bishop Odufua. Bishop, Sheredi Lati Shalaye fún wa exactly what is the position of the African church about the fact that we have Yemoja, we have Shango, we have Oshun, we have Oshu outside. What is your position? I just want you to be very direct. You're not sure?
Well,
You are
hello.
for it? You don't want to come and join me to do Osha? What's your position?
Hello. Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you now.
Yeah.
What's your position?
As a bishop, and what we believe in the African church, we believe in the African values. For example, now, some of our members, they are traditional rulers, they are bales, they are obas. Being a Christian oba, the way they change or they fine-tune about some bad traditions. You know, you could recollect when I was the Bishop of Ijebu about the case of a man from Oderemo.
Yes.
You know, and today, most of our Christian obas, the majority of them, they are behind of the bill that been about to be passed by Ogun State. Being a Christian does not mean that you are not eligible to your fatherly right or your traditional right. For example, as the Baba Lorisha had rightly said, the coming together of all the Orishas. The Christian too, we are coming together through the CAN, and I happen to be the vice chairman of Anglican African Commission that we have been talking together during the former primate of the this man, Baba. I've forgotten Baba's name now. He formed African Anglican Commission. Not that we are going to be one, but to have mutual understanding. You know, I cherish the submission of Baba Lorisha, which I believe we in African church too, we give room. For example, now we make people Baba Ijo, Iya Ijo, Balogun Ijo, just to cherish, because the Africans cherish being called chief. So that we just believe that what is outside there, similar thing, even better, is in the church.
Okay.
Thank God for that Babalosha submission. I will tell you just in summary what is really happening in some, even among our, we call Christians. For example, now you go for an interview, you will see the boss asking you, are you a Christian? You say yes. The next thing, which denomination? If you happen not to belong to a denomination, you will not get the job. Oh. That to show how division, and we call ourselves one, we are serving one God. But every day we divide. So the coming together of Christianity, all the Christians in Nigeria under the umbrella of CAN, though you have turned to political, but we can't throw the baby with a bad water.
Okay.
So we have what we call the Christian Council of Nigeria coming together of all the established churches in 1929. And it's still strong. It's still strong. But I'm still waiting till one day that I as an archbishop, I will worship in Anglican. The bishop of Anglican will see me as archbishop, not say because I'm the diocesan. And I'm expecting a bishop or archbishop from Anglican worship in my church one of my bishops too, we see him as his boss. Not say, no, am I Anglican? No, 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 no. You can't dictate to me.
Bishop, Archbishop, thank you. You're telling
God
us
bless.
how you Christians are bringing yourself together. My question is, what is the advantage of you Christian Yorubas bringing yourself together? If it's going to, it's good news. I'm delighted, because what we want to do is to get, it's good that you're coming together. It's likely to make us easier to communicate with you. Before we go any further, let me give you a short story of how I met Archbishop Odufuwa. Now, as I said, I was a soul individual. I mean, one single woman who left United Kingdom because of what happened to my Kabisi, my king. I left with a large quantity of pounds sterling, determined to fight. When he died, his body just disappeared. I'll tell you more about that tradition at some point in time. The body was taken into the hands of people who believed they were going to take him through a ritual. The ritual involved tying a rope around his neck. His remains, that's a king of Yoruba land, a king, and dragging him around. That was why I arrived in Nigeria. However, I then came across the second in command of the same area, Oluwo, who was throughout his life a Christian, a member of this church, African church. And I was just fortunate to have gone to him to talk to him about that I was looking for the remains of my king. And he was telling me a number of things. When he highlighted his plight, I didn't know he had few days to die. He died within 5 days of my seeing him, telling me quite clearly, giving me documents that he had told the Yoruba traditionalists to stay away from his body. He didn't want to be buried in a particular way. But just look at me, how I'm sitting in front of you. That's how I am 24/7. So when I ventured to go to the doorstep of Bishop Odufuwa, I didn't think he would welcome me as he did, because I've been to Anglican church proper before, where I wasn't, where the whole church left the pew where I was sitting. They left me alone, left, right, and center, as if something evil had entered, not knowing I was invited to be a speaker. Remember, not knowing I was invited to be a speaker. So let's go for the jugular. The doctrine said to be of Christianity, is that being misunderstood? Is it being used inappropriately? The same thing is happening with the Yoruba traditional customs and values. So I want you to bear it, the session, which will only last for the next half hour. I want us to focus on that. Please forgive me. None of this is what Jesus Christ says. It's now you, Yoruba, promoters of Christianity. Where are you? Have you been able to understand Jesus Christ enough to be able to understand who we are or who you are? Let me go to Dr. Ayomide from the Republic of Benin. Dr. Ayomide, over to you. Please unmute yourself.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Thanks for this program. I'm very delighted. I will go straight to my question, but before that question, I want to say something concerning Yoruba tradition here in Nigeria. Concerning our harbors, when they die, how they do the ritual. Something happened, I think it was 3 weeks ago when I came to Nigeria. So I was lucky to be in Kwara State because as far as we're concerned, Kwara is still part of Yoruba. So one of the king in that area, they call the place Nupe area, that is a Lafiaji. Their king died. And when the man died, so there's no ritual really performed. So everything is peaceful. But unlike other side, in Ondo State, where I was born, when the king died like that, to go around in the night is always a problem. So, and we are talking about the Christianity or Christendom and our culture here today. So I want our pastors to enlighten us more. What is the difference between the Christianity and Yoruba culture? Or is there any method in which we will see ourselves as one Africa, or as one who is worshiping?
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Doctor, I think you are, I think you're a herbalist. I know you. Please say exactly who you are to put it in context. Over to you.
Right. My name is Dr. Akinsuya Yomide, trado medical doctor from Republic of Benin. Thank you.
Thank you. And who is a trado medical doctor?
Hello?
Please explain what you mean by trado medical.
All right, thank you. So, trado, what we mean trado here means those people that normally prepare leaves, herbs to treat human being in a modern way, not in tradition in time of calling incantations. Thank you.
Thank you. I purposely ask you to explain that because I know that even with your practice, there is that issue. The modern and the ancient. I'll come back to you in the future, not now. I've heard your question. Let me go to the Zoom area, please. If there's anybody who wants to speak now, is the time to speak. Once I've done that round, I won't be going back again. I'll be asking the guest speakers to answer the questions and wrap up. So anyone who chooses to say anything now, it's time for you to do so. I've taken the questions of Dr. Ayomide. Anyone else who wants to ask questions or give comment? Dr. Ayomide, please mute yourself. Excuse me, if you happen to be unmuted, may I ask you to please mute yourself. Anyone who's got comments right now, let me start calling those. There's Crip K7, I'm not sure who that is. If you have anything to say, it's now. There's Marsha Clifton. If you have anything to say, it's now. It's Michael Augustus. If you have anything to say, it's now. Mama Shongofumulai, I'll come back to you. The sister Ava or Eva, it is now. So I'm into the Zoom area, looking to whoever wished to speak. I can't see any hands raised. Maybe from my end, it's difficult. Anyone wants to? Whilst we're trying to achieve that, let me bring Honorable Minister Beckles in just on sort of interim, whilst people are trying to make up their minds. I know she has this magic way of getting people to speak, even if they don't want to. Very well, welcome to you. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Irulu. And of course, let me first of all acknowledge you as a host. Irulu, of course, the guest speakers, Pastor Elias Dick, who is a good friend of mine, and other speakers, especially Archbishop and Reverend, and to acknowledge Baba Neil Rollins, Shangwa Fumalayo, and what a pleasure it is to participate in this third session. Before giving a couple remarks, I want to join with Baba Neil Rollins in expressing my condolences in relation to Brother Resistance. Ria Irulu, you may remember that in your session on Laventille, I invited him to speak. He was so happy to participate and share with us about the Yoruba in Laventille and the development of the network rhythm band. So, may his soul rest in peace. Of course, I forgot to say good morning or good night, as the case may be. And just to let you know that we're still having our challenges with COVID, and hopefully things will get a little better. So I am happy to participate in what we refer to as this third session, which is a gathering of spiritual beings having human experiences. And it's really exciting for me to have the benefit to listen to the Reverend, the Archbishop, Pastor Dick, as well as Neil. And I'm really benefiting from the experiences of those who are more than just the practitioners, but those who are the leaders in their various churches. I was pretty happy to hear from Reverend, because I'm an Anglican, and I think what you're really asking is, as Anglicans, how have we traditionally dealt with whether it's the Yoruba or the spiritual Baptist? And I said at the last session that whilst I'm an Anglican, my father actually was a lay reader in the Anglican church. I myself was in the choir as a girl growing up. And I shared with you that there was a particular Anglican priest who I'm sure Baba Neil knows very well, Reverend Griffith, who incorporated, I would say, both Orisha and Baptist practices into the Anglican Church. And on his Sundays, I mean, he would say to you that when you are coming to church, either bring your lunch, but church is church. And his church would have been his much longer than the traditional 1 hour or 45 minutes. It could go on for as long as 2 to 3 hours, with the drumming, the wearing of the his actual vestment. He wore African clothing. I don't think everybody was quite happy. But the fact is that in many of the churches, you do have, as a matter of fact, even in the Catholic Church now, in some of the churches, they are using drums. So you have seen that incorporation of some of the cultural practices that clearly came from, I mean, the fact that we, in the slavery, and, we came from Africa, and they have kept those traditions. So I'm pretty happy for this. As you said, this is a journey to connect. We celebrate the goodness of Olodumare. And for me, as a politician, and someone who has been influenced by the Orisha traditions, the Yoruba tradition, influenced by the spiritual Baptist as well. Because one of the things, Irulu, I mean, we look forward to you coming to Trinidad. I think what is really fascinating is the Trinidad being multicultural and multi-religious. But at the same time, you now have this desire, which I think existed quite a while, but the fact that you're able to travel, and I mean, I always have to say that COVID has brought some opportunities. Had it not been for COVID, I'm not sure if we would have really actually been having a session like this tonight. So there are opportunities, but my point is that there has always been this thirst and this desire to do exactly what you have been doing over the last 3 sessions, which is the connection, which is the journey, which is the education. The opportunity to hear, as we have heard from tonight, from the Reverend, from the Archbishop, and to link our different cultures and our different experiences. And you are of course are doing evidence-based, and there is no better evidence but to hear from the leaders of the various churches. I really want to say I thank you very much. I am a student tonight because I'm really learning, and I'm really grateful for it, and I'll continue to listen. Thank you so very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. And those of you who are in Nigeria, have you ever come across a minister of government come and sit around with Olorisha in Nigeria? They will run because they will lose votes. They won't come. Invite them. They are people of Trinidad and Tobago and Bahamas, Brazil, Jamaica, in Nigeria, where your ancestors came from. The ministers of government will not sit with us. They won't. Even when they are talking in government, they won't dare mention us. They don't. They don't. They don't. It's as if we are the evil inside the Bible. I'm not particularly worried about that because I'm heartened by people like Reverend Adelakun. Honestly, it's been so illuminating relating to him. I'm also likewise with Archbishop Dufua. I tell you, the day I turned up to his vicarage, if I can use that word, the way he welcomed me, dressed like this, because normally in Nigeria, once they see you dressed like this, they don't want to associate with you at all. Now, let's go back to Iya Shangofumelayo. I'm yet to receive your contributions. Over to you. Please share your thoughts with us.
So, a pleasant good night to you. Our host, Rilu, pleasant good night to you. Pleasant good night to our minister, Mrs. Penelope Beckles, and all the guests of honor. I mean, all our elders. I'm pleased to be here tonight, and I'm pleased to be listening in. You know, I have been fortunate to belong to a church or an Ile that practices both the traditional Orisha practices and the spiritual Baptist practices that is laced with Christianity. I mean, every Sunday we have church, we read the Bible, we talk about everything that is related in the Bible. So that is the foundation and the base for the church from which I came. Also, we have the Orisha practices. And right now, next week would be our annual feast for the Orishas. So all of that takes place within the church. So I'm fortunate to be, you know, listening to the reverends talk about their Christianity on a Sunday. And from the time we hit March, April, May, we are thinking about the Orishas and all the things that go along with it. And as Neil mentioned, we have all the Orishas in one yard, and our feast, you know, we give to all the Orishas on the different days over a 7-day period. So I'm fortunate to be among, you know, I have no problems with being part of a spiritual Baptist tradition where Christianity is, you know, being preached or being all the things that is done during Christianity. They also have the spiritual Baptists have a form of African traditions that is right there in between the Christian religion. I mean, you can't believe how it is. They take parts from the Bible, they do baptism, they do mourning, they do everything. And on the other side, we have strictly Orisha practices. So I'm fortunate to be a part of all of that. So I would say that I understand what is happening, but within my church, I have no problem. And another thing I must say, there are several of these type of churches like mine belonging to the Council of Orisha Elders. So we have a wonderful mixture of traditional Orisha people, spiritual Baptist mixed with Orisha, and we all can work together and talk together and, you know, still get somewhere together. So I would say we don't have that much of a problem in terms of how we interact with each other. We give respect to each other when the time comes, and when we are in their space, we do that. So I would say I'm enjoying it and listening and realizing how fortunate we are in Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shango Fumilayo. At this point, I want to say relationship is work in progress. Delighted to see you. I missed you last time. Thank you for
That was
joining
okay.
today.
Oh yes, I'm so delighted. I'm so delighted.
Right, let me at this point in time say the word Orisha is not even understood by those in Nigeria. The word Orisha, and I'm so surprised personally because the word Orisha is a Yoruba word. Ori means head. Sha means select. And I still don't, Ori, O-R-I, is head. Sha means select. The word is Yoruba, and yet people turn it to small God. God. We don't have, Ori does not mean God. Ori does not mean God. But I think you've lost me for a moment. Let me come back to you. Now, I want to impart this knowledge. Orisha, the word is Yoruba word. If there's anybody who is unmuted, please mute yourself. Bishop, ever me mute arayin. The word Ori, head. I think it's Dr. Ayomide who keeps interrupting me. Please mute yourself. Thank you. Now, the word Ori means head. The rest, S-A, means Sha, select. It doesn't mean small God. It doesn't mean big God. It means destiny selected. How people, even those worldwide, they will say our Orisha is our God. I don't understand it. For when Pastor Elias started, he used the word enlarge my coast. That was the message that Oduduwa had. That was the message of Olodumare to Ile Ife. It's not Ile Ife, Ile Ife. Ile, I-L-E means the ground, the land. Ife, I-F-E, enlarge, expand. You will hear people say Oni of Ife. Ife means enlarge. For our ancestors were given land that has enlarged beyond Ife, all the way. And you know, Pastor Elias also mentioned the word truth. Now, first of all, he referred to variety of sectors in the Bible. We Yoruba people have Bible too. We call it Odu. Please mute yourself. Whoever is unmuted, please mute yourself. I beg of you. Now, I'm going to mute everybody, and please do not unmute so that people can hear me clearly. So, Pastor Dick Elias was reading from the Bible. We have our own Bible. It is called Odu Ifa. Odu means revelation. That word means revelation. It's a Yoruba word. Revelation. Ifa means the spirit. You can't see it. You cannot see Ifa. You can hear it. You can feel it. It's a voice. A voice. We had our own Abraham. We had our own Jesus. Oromila was the first and the only in the history of Yorubas who was somebody who heard the voice direct, not through Okwele, not through a king. He heard it with his ears. Having got the knowledge, he was then given the understanding, and he documented it. He decoded the message and turned it to Odu. Odu means revelation. Odu. Even today in Yoruba vocabulary, Odu means something you've got to develop an understanding of. Odu. Oromila was our own prophet or messenger, the servant of God who has left us with one legacy. Oduifa. You need the principle 116 Oduifa. I can continue. And has become 256. And we Yorubas now have our own Bible. All this Odu business is written down now. So you can refer to it, just as Pastor Dick is referring to it. We have our own. Before Jesus Christ was born, we had our own. But were we imposing our knowledge on people? No. Oromila, that messenger of God, the people he gave the knowledge to, just like Jesus gave his knowledge, they are his disciples. We have them. The disciples of Oromila are called Babalawo today. The disciples of Oromila are called Babalawo. The disciples of Oromila are called Babalawo. But Oromila is our Jesus. Or would we say was our Abraham? Or would definitely not. But would we say not Abraham? No. Would we say was our own Isaiah or our own Jeremiah? We only had one who heard the voice and documented it. And so every Babalawo is a disciple of Oromila. But that information called Oduifa is not exclusively the property of the Babalawos, just like the Bible is not. We have our own Bible, documented. One day we will look at what our equivalent of the Bible is all about. It does not impose the belief system on anybody. It highlights how you must conduct yourself in order to fulfill your path in life. How you must conduct yourself. It centers around three things. Anu, Otito, Iwa, conduct, character, the truth, and mercy. And Oromila only believed in Olodumare. There's no evidence that Orunmila himself worshipped any Orisha, and we do not worship Orisha. No. That's who we are. Haven't heard about Christianity. I want you to know who we are. The most important aspect of those of us who can be called Olorisha is somebody who has the Spirit of God in him. Orisha okay. You will hear that word again. The Orisha of the heavens lives in us. Orisha okay. People like myself are high-profile mediums. I don't hide myself wherever I go. For my biological ancestor Shango, whose real name is not Shango but Tela, he could hear, he could see, he was powerful. For the Spirit of God directed his life. He did not know one single Odu Ifa. He did not study one single Odu Ifa. Spirit lived in him. And so was Oduduwa, our progenitor. My biological ancestor, Shango, was a child born by a female. Born by a female. To Onoyo, the grandson of Odua. So let's begin to understand who we are. And let's begin to put it, was Isaiah not born by somebody? Was Jeremiah not born by somebody? Was Jesus not born by somebody? Did Abraham drop from the sky? All the people you have in the Bible, were they not born by somebody? Those people are Orisha to us. Destiny selected them to do what has to be done. And so what we must live here with is an understanding that any form of Christianity is no different. For when Jesus was named, I read that there was a sacrifice of 2 doves. To whom? Please, I don't know Bible. I don't know. I don't know. But I recall that there's also in the book which says when he arrived, somebody, a wise person said, oh, this is it. That was a seer. I'm a seer. Very proud to say so, very confident to say so. Many of us Yorubas are seers. But these churches that have come across, they don't encourage them to say, I'm a seer. Please. They don't. Please. Let's get it right. A Yoruba, you are a seer. You have the capacity to see, you have the capacity to hear, you have the capacity to connect with any spirit, including that of Jesus, who had no religion. In Odufad, he's referred to as Onweda. He had no, was Jesus a Christian? No. No. Certainly, if you present that to me in court, and I'm sure many will say so, you have no evidence to say he was a Christian. He never was. Onweda Ella. So, having said so much, the session today is looking at our journey. Our journey. Do we have enough knowledge about each other to form an opinion? Or from a distance, we think we know, From the books written by somebody, we believe we know. Nobody has monopoly of knowledge to be able to tell us. The impression I get is that, Jesus is speaking to you. Please, if you come across me when I'm functional, I'll tell you who is speaking to you. And you will have clear evidence that this is the person speaking to you. But we are told in Nigeria, Jesus is speaking to you. And who told you that my Shango cannot speak to me? Who told you? Who told you that the gentleman who has just passed away cannot speak to me? I don't know his name. Who told you? Who told you? For we don't really know ourselves with Yoruba. We are extraordinarily, specially created people. I do not hide myself because I know I come from a village, a lineage. If you come from the monarchical lineage or non-monarchical lineage, please open yourself up. Please, in my vein flows the blood, still connected to those that anybody can claim are dead, but are alive. So I want us all to understand that. We need to unpack. Is it only Jesus that speaks to the Yoruba people, that goes to church? Is it only him that speaks to Yoruba people? Only Jesus. I haven't seen evidence of Muhammad speaking to nobody, but I've come across Muslims saying Allah is speaking to them. But Olodumare speaks to us Yoruba people. Extraordinarily, nature of who we are is that the unseen speaks to us. The unseen, those who have departed, speaks to us. And it's very important that we know that. For our ancestors never depart spiritually. I want to appeal to you, please open yourself up if you're Yoruba. Oh, no. I've been in situations where I will be doing a reading. These videos supposed to send, I don't understand what you're saying, that language, I don't understand. So I'm saying quite clearly that we need to open yourself up. Who says that I have to close myself down so that it's only somebody in the Bible who can speak to me? Who says so? Since when? I think these are the challenges that the people who are practitioners of ancestral Yoruba spirituality, our ancestors, remains connected. And who are they? Oshun, Shango, Odua, Imoja, Olokun, Aje, Ogiyan. I can continue to name them. Maybe that is what makes we Yoruba people different from the Jews. Maybe the Jews, they only connect with Abraham, but the Jews don't connect with Jesus. They don't. But those who are followers of Saul, Paul, they seem to be connecting. Is it with the Jesus? Is it with the word? The words in the Bible from whom? The Old Testament belongs to the book of Torah before Jesus was born. So who are the Christians connecting with? They say they are connecting with Jesus. They say Jesus is the Holy Spirit. I have no disagreement. If Jesus is who you are connecting with, that's fine. Me or Ajun, I can tell you who I can see. I can see you who I can hear. I can give you adequate evidence to know exactly what I'm encountering. So it's about experience. The journey that you have kindly signed up to be on with me is one of, please know who you are. After all, Olodumare, Almighty God has made us the image of himself, we are told. Are you telling me at some point to disconnect from us Yoruba, hand us spiritually over to Jesus or to Allah? At some point, you just switch us off. Yeah, we have to connect. The words of the Bible are useful. I read text of this Bible and to see if I can identify with it. You see, the one that Pastor Dick said, enlarge my coast, is a prayer that never came from no Jesus. No. Enlarge my coast never came from no Jesus. No. Many things exist in that Bible. They never came from Jesus. They came before him. There are promises of Olodumare to his people. The promises of Olodumare to us Yoruba people remains in the old Twifa. On that note, we're coming to the end of this program. I'm going to invite anybody who is in the audience again who wants to express an opinion. It's time. I will spend the next 10 minutes allowing you to do so. If no comments, I can see somebody's hand here. Please unmute yourself. I can see your hand. Please unmute yourself. Hello?
Yeah. Hello, ma'am.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks very much for this your message passing across. And I'm so delighted. But what I think is that this your video message, as I sent a message earlier on that this message is supposed to send publicly, especially for the Africa here who believe, who have wrong beliefs about Jesus Christ. Because, you know, some of whatever we were told in our church, we believe the pastors. And some of these pastors are nowhere good in research, because at times whatever we are doing, research is also important. So some of us fail in the area of research. And all what you are saying here, to be candid, I'm highly delighted because you already said the truth. All written in the Bible, most of them come before Jesus Christ. But after Jesus Christ, everybody believes Jesus is God, or Jesus is the only Son of God. After Jesus, nothing else. So please, Mama, one of these days, please, I want you to do a video on WhatsApp or Facebook as well so that people can react to that. Number one. Number two, ma, concerning what you say about Ife. You say Ile Ife, not Ile Ife. Please,
Yes.
one day as well, I want you to come on live, maybe on Zoom, to invite people that wear knowledge about what you are saying. Because for me, I'm hearing for the first time that the town is not Ile Ife, is Ile Ife. So please, that is my message. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I do, between the year 2013 to year 2016, I was live on Facebook teaching. But also, can I say, those of you who are hearing me in the Zoom area, you are to go out and confidently talk about it and take your point and live too. There are people watching me and listening to me. You know, Yorubas and worldwide have got to decide what is important to them. Right now, Yorubas are busy shouting Yoruba nation. They have no first idea of what a Yoruba is supposed to be, and they are calling Yoruba nation. They have no first idea of what a Yoruba should be, and they are calling Yoruba nation. They have no foggiest idea the sort of government we are going to have, whether they are going to come out of Nigeria and they will continue with their nonsensical democracy of the white man. They don't know. Now, they are not rallying support to stop the killings of people. That should be the priority. Saving of lives is what my ancestors were about. There's no massive protest to say the killings must stop today. No, no, what you are getting is one Yoruba nation now. No, killings must stop now. And the same culture they've inherited from the white man, they are hailing one person. Oh, this is the person who is going to lead. Please, we don't come from that background with Yoruba people. Yorubas don't hail individuals. We do not hail individuals. No, 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 we don't. Because there's a slave man's culture to be hailing individual. No, we don't. And I've seen with my journey of relationship with Yorubas of the Caribbean, we Yorubas of Nigeria, we have a lot to learn from them, or a lot to learn from them. Because as Reverend Adelakun said, sometimes I wonder who are the slaves or who are the freed? Who are the slaves? Yes, the clarity of choice in is freedom of worship. Okay, now I will read all what's in the chat room in a moment. You know, Reverend Adelakun said, you know, out there, they are still captured in star Christianity. And those of us who are outside Christianity, which one of us can you say remains the slaves? Trust me, there are many Orisha practitioners who are slaves. They are slaves of some quacks, some fraudsters who continue to tell them this is the way to move. This is the way to move. If you don't get this kind of OB, you won't talk. Please. Both ways. Let me read some of the things in the chat. Thank you, Doctor. Anybody else? I would love to hear from you, and I will read some of the comments out. Right. Mamadi's video message supposed to go to WhatsApp, right? Okay. Somebody has said the clarity of choice in religion is freedom of worship, and it is less criticism. The issue in discourse is not superiority of religion, but respect for belief. That came from somebody whose name I don't have. Well said, thank you. Can I also say there's nothing wrong in criticisms? I criticize a lot of the Yoruba traditionalists. All of them now, they are kings. This one is Oba, that one is Oba this, Oba, you know, I do. Because ego doesn't belong to our ancestors. Ego. Not ours. Ego. If you see the way our ancestors used to live, you see they used to live in what the white man called huts, you know, very basic. And we had peace of mind. We didn't have light, we had our own specially made oil lamp. We didn't fill our homes with suitcases of handbags and shoes, you know, that we may use twice or 3 times. And then, you know, we had peace of mind. We had peace of mind then than now. So let me ask for the final time, any comments from anyone in the Zoom area? What I will do, I will invite Archbishop, no, I will invite Archbishop Odufua to say something. Bishop, you will kindly share your final thoughts and say your goodbyes, if I can say that for now. Reverend Adela, likewise. I will go to the keynote guest speaker. I will then go to Baba New, and the final say will come from Honorable Minister Beckles. So it's time to do that now. Over to you, Archbishop Odufua. Akila fẹ́ bá a sọ gbogbo ń
Well,
tẹ́ ti gbọ́ lẹ́nu.
we thank you for your submission. Everything well understood, and we learn every day. But we should not run from the fact that, as you just said, that even among the traditionalists, we still have some bad eggs there. Ditto in Christianity, we still have some bad eggs there. That John 8:32 that happened to be our motto, you shall know the truth shall set you free. It's only because people have not discovered the truth. That is why most people are still beating around the bush. But the truth is from God. The light is from God. And as someone who studied African religion in university, I believe that there are many ways God can talk to you. God can talk to you. For as much as the same sea we have in Lagos is the same sea we have everywhere in the whole world. The same lagoon and the same air, and the way you are shaped is the same thing American man, a woman is shaped, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 legs. So color is not the problem. It's not the problem, depend where you are located. But the shape is the same, just to show that all of us are from the same God. So, so my submission is just, you shall know the truth shall set you free. Thank you.
Ashe, thank you very much indeed. Reverend Adelakun, few minutes to share your final thoughts on this section.
Thank you all. And on a final note, I want to say that there will never be a perfect religion except in the promotion of ego. As long as we taste or thirst for true religion, and the truth in the true religion will be devoid of barbarism, will be devoid of all forms of hatred, will make human being perfect unto the understanding of the truth. There is no religion that can claim or will claim the monopoly of all wisdom. And that is why the mind must be open for that choice. The choice to take and to remove. Whatever we see that is wrong in Christianity, we must be able to say no. And whatever we see that is right in it, we promote it. So also in any religion, until we come to the understanding of what the perfect nature of religion is, we will always be talking about ego. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Let me go straight on to Pastor Dick.
Yes, I must say, I have to say, Mother Irulu, this morning or this evening in Trinidad and Tobago, it has indeed been an eye-opener. One of the things I want to mention when I said, knock and it shall open and seek you shall find. Many times the leaders in the different diaspora, there are things that they would practice that would be Yoruba and would be African, but the membership or the persons in the church are not allowed to know it, because when they go into the secret study and begin to study, they don't share it. So most of the time the knowledge is there by themselves. That is where they promote self-gratification. So when something comes out, everybody says, if it's Pastor Dick have a lot of power. And you begin to laud the individual instead of the individual sharing that to the others. So he keeps all for himself, and that is what happens. And that is what creates the problem. But in the individual practice at home or in their studies, they then embrace all that is African. But when they come out to the people, they don't show them that Africanness. They keep that part, because if they share that out, they then will not be in the limelight. So that is why, I'm very, very much happy, and would like to tell you thank very much for sharing and all the knowledge and different things. But we must seek, and we must share, and we must not be selfish. When our territory is enlarged, we must then enlarge and give out to other people, like it's giving lots of land to other persons. But what I'm saying, enlarge in the spiritual realm. Don't hold it for ourselves, because many times many of them die, but they share nothing.
Thank
So
you.
I would like to say, thank you so very much. I appreciate. Thank you so very much, and I must call you Mother Irulu. Thank you.
Thank you very, thank you
Thank
very
you, my
much indeed,
brothers.
Pastor. Thank you. Thank you. Now, a few minutes for you too, Baba Neil Rollins and Honorable Minister Beckles. We wait for you to have your final say too. Over to you.
Well, thank you, Arilu, again. You know, what I've heard today is so interesting. And we all, in our individual capacities and within our churches or elays, we have to really try to do some more research to unearth the hidden truths. We must find out for ourselves our own knowledge and understanding, and for our membership, what the truth is. There is a truth outside there, and we need to connect to the truth. You know, today has been really interesting, Irilu, I must say. What I would like to say to the persons on the Zoom is that in Trinidad and Tobago, there's an organization that was created in 1973, September of 1971, an act of parliament, called the Interreligious Organization of Trinidad and Tobago. And it's a combination of every aspect of varying type of religious organization that sit together and be part of the state. It's a faith-based organization where you have every religious organization. And today I am, as an Orisha devotee, the secretary of that organization. And, you know, we have the Hindus, the Christian, etc., spiritual Baptists, and we learn from each other because we experience each other's traditions. And what we realize that there's so much similarities among each other.
Thank
So
you.
I just want to share that this evening. Thank you much, Erilu.
Thank you very much indeed. And over to you, Honorable Minister Beckles.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, I want to say it's been a very, exciting evening, very educational. I must thank the speakers, reverends, and Archbishop, especially from Nigeria, knowing that this is morning and for us is nighttime. As a matter of fact, it's now 18 minutes past 11. So I look forward to the continuing discussions. Actually, I am really, fascinated by the similarities. For me, it's a learning experience to know the connection, as I said, to know the truth. So I'm looking forward to the fourth session. I really want to thank you. I know that as you say, the connection, connectivity, the greater understanding of the spirituality and understanding these words that we use in Trinidad and Tobago, that we are learning that may not always have the meaning that we think it has. But traditionally for us, we have been using those words, and therefore it's so important to get clarification here, which we can share with others, you know, because notwithstanding the fact that we may be from different religions, the influences coming from Africa has obviously stayed with us and continues to influence our practices, our cultural way of life, our values, and the level of comfort that we feel in going to virtually any church, and to be able to identify certain practices is what is so very important for us. That respect for us in Trinidad is really quite important. But what is most significant is the greater understanding of exactly what we do and getting the truth of some of the practices for which we really are not as familiar in terms of its origin as we would like to. And I think that is what is most important for me, and that sort of clarity is what you're bringing by having these sessions. So once again, thank you very much, and I look forward to the fourth session, and of course to all my Trinbagonians on board tonight, Baba Neil, Pastor Dick, I don't know if Shango is still on. Shango Mura Fire, she's still on, but have a great night.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Mhm.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister Beckles. Well, talking about Olodumare, that is Almighty God. The most important thing about Olodumare is that he makes himself available or itself available. And Olodumare is often represented by people in authority. And so you are an extra special person, Mr. Beckles, for your continued genuine determination to make yourself available. I always talk about you because I find it totally strange. I do have to say so, because even to talk to the government, even a local councillor in Nigeria about Orisha, you can't get them. What a better way to serve Olodumare than to be in a position of authority. What a better way. Olodumare positions us in a position and gives us authority. And for us to be able to successfully utilize that authority, we need to make ourselves available. Rule number one, my 36th year as a member of the Conservative Party of United Kingdom and Northern Ireland. Please, I find it totally strange that politicians in Nigeria are never available. Never. We'll be looking at why, and they run away from Orisha people. Not totally their fault. There'll be an opportunity to talk about this. Talking about access to people, talking about availability. I want to thank you, the mother of Trinidad and Tobago, and the mother of the Africans in the Caribbean. It's always a much cherished privilege to have you join us. It energizes me, it makes it worthwhile. For people and government must rub minds to improve the quality of lives of not just the people of today, but the lives of future generations. Thank you very much, Minister Beckles. I'm very, very grateful to you. And talking about authority and availability, Pastor Dick, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. The first time I spoke to him, somebody who lives in the spirit, I just saw these smiles, this ray of sunshine before me. Absolute purity. I went into trance immediately into the world of this gentleman, a real servant of God. And I don't hide that. I very quickly connected with somebody in your life. Thank you for making yourself available. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The authority you have used it to also enable me to understand that enlarging the coast, enlarge the coast. 3 words, same words that we have got Ile-Ife established upon. Wow, illuminating. Thank you so much. Little said for the impact. Wow. Talking about authority, it's not how long you speak for, but that gift to share words, for words remains powerful. That's what Oduifa represents. That's what the Bible represents. That's what the Quran represents. Thank you very much, Pastor Dick. I look forward to the continued relationship. And Archbishop Odufuwa, what can I say? He rang me and said, Erelu, when it's 1 o'clock, please wake me. Please just call me. He stayed awake. He stayed awake. I thought if I called him, he would be asleep. He wasn't asleep. He hasn't slept. Archbishop, wow, this is beyond the call of duty. For I don't know many archbishops in Nigeria, honestly, in Yoruba land, that you will want to come and stay up at night and the wife, the mama yard, as they call them, will not be asking what time of day it is. Availability. For you to continue to be an archbishop successfully and in accordance with the will of Olodumare, your heart available, your time available, your knowledge available, and your character has always been the basis of the continued relationship between you and Eshemudupepopo. Thank you so much. So sorry to keep you awake. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, too, Reverend Adelakum. Wow. I learned one thing, anytime they tell me now a reverend is coming to Lorisha Leaders Conference, I should say, send me more, send me more. You are always available, Reverend Adelakum. The knowledge he shares, send him 100 questions in a day. He will sit down and he will go into himself. And that's one thing that is special about those of you who are messengers of Jesus Christ. You do go into yourself. You dig deep. But the contact point remains the words shared to you in the context they were shared. I thank you very much, Reverend, for joining me today. I thank you. You are an exemplary Anglican minister, and I've come across a lot. Not many are determined to facilitate the changes. But one thing also about Anglicanism, the root of it is one where the English decided they were not going to have Roman perspective imposed on them. And the Queen of England remains the boss. So another good aspect of it, there are lessons to learn from every one of us. Baba Neil and Mama Shogun Funmilayo are now the, shall I say, the messengers of our ancestors. Yes, yes, you are. Oh. They must not be forgotten. They must not be forgotten. They shall not be forgotten.
Not at all.
For the river that actually forgets the origin is going to cease to exist. One thing about us, we the Yoruba, the people of Ife, our ancestors must be kept alive. those who have served us, those who Lord Mary has provided with the authority to be who we can make reference point to. May they never be forgotten. May they be remembered in the right light. And finally, may they never continue to be misrepresented. For our ancestors never arrived on this earth to enslave the minds of anyone. What they did not do when they were alive. I always say, Shango was not a killer. Stop inviting Shango to come and kill. Shango was not a killer. So how come you are going to say if you swear by Shango, he's going to kill you? Please, you must stop misrepresentation. None of our ancestors, as far as I know, were killers. No, don't know any of them was a killer. On that note, I give gratitude to Olodumare. I give gratitude to a new dawn. And I thank those of you who have made yourself available out there watching me. I want to thank you very much. And inside the Zoom area, I want to embrace your energy, which has made this session possible. And on behalf of the future generations who deserve to know the truth, who must have encounters of the truth, I want to thank you for your time today and look forward to seeing you in not too distant a future. I say, thank you very much indeed. On behalf of my ancestors and on behalf of the great creator of all that is seen and unseen, I am Erilu Tuwashe, and we come to the end of another episode. May elders never cease to exist, and the land of Oduduwa elder has qualification. And there are 3 items: knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. May wisdom surround you today and always. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. And
Thank you,
good
Erilu.
morning. Good
Thank you,
afternoon.
thank you,
Thank you,
Erilu.
Erilu.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mother
Thank
Ali.
you.
Good
Thank
morning.
you. Thank you. Good
Thank you.
morning. Thank
Good
you.
morning.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Good
you.
morning.
Bye, Pastor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Archbishop Eshemodupe.
Same to
Thank
you.
you. God bless you.
Reverend.
Bye,
Thank you.
Blessings to
Thank
Shango.
you.
all. Okay, bye-bye.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you. And good night, everybody.